If you're a dog lover, you might want to brace yourself, because this is definitely not a story about a good boy. We are about to go deep into one of Japan's most notorious and truly chilling legends, the curse of the dog god.
And I just want to put this up front. We're stepping into some seriously dark territory here. We're going to be exploring the mechanics of a curse that is born from, well, unimaginable suffering.
So what are we even talking about? The name is Inugami. Now, that translates to dog god or dog spirit, but as you're about to find out, this is no friendly deity, not even close. The stories of the Inugami mostly come from the Shikoku region of Japan, and for centuries, people whispered about it. They blamed it for all sorts of horrible, unexplainable misfortunes. It was seen as this terrifying spiritual weapon, wielded by certain families. And the effects of this curse were said to be terrifyingly specific. This wasn't just like vague bad luck. Victims would waste away from sicknesses that doctors couldn't figure out, or they'd be gripped by a madness that had no rational cause. But the part that really scared people? The belief that these spirits were controlled by certain families, the Inugami-mochi, who could just unleash them on their enemies whenever they wanted. So that begs the question, right? How in the world is a power like that even created? While the folklore describes a ritual so dark, it's honestly hard to wrap your head around. This is where the real malice of the curse comes from. The process is just methodical, and it's profoundly cruel. A starving dog is trapped, tormented with the sight and smell of food it can never, ever reach. All of its suffering, its desperation, its hatred, it's all intentionally cranked up to the absolute maximum. And then, at that final moment, the dog's head is severed. And that pure, distilled agony and hennon, that deep, vengeful grudge, is captured and bound as a weapon. Okay, I know, this sounds like a terrifying piece of folklore, right? A ghost story you'd tell to scare people. But what if it isn't? What if there's a different, almost disturbingly logical way to explain how this magic was thought to work?
Turns out, centuries ago, a scholar decided to look right past all the superstitions. He wanted to analyze the Inugami not as some ghost, but as a phenomenon with its own internal logic, almost like a dark science.
Let's go back to the year 1686. A scholar, his name was Yamaoka Genren, he publishes his analysis in this book called Critiques of 100 Supernatural Tales. He wasn't just retelling the scary story, no, he was taking it apart, piece by piece. And his conclusion? It was absolutely stunning for the time. He basically argued that the Inugami wasn't the literal ghost of a dog. No. He proposed that the ritual itself was the key, not to summon a spirit, but to create something far more abstract and way more dangerous. And to explain this, Genren laid out this whole framework, a kind of physics for dark magic, you could say, that is just absolutely fascinating. He actually compared it to an ancient Chinese black art known as kodoku. So with kodoku, you'd put a bunch of venomous creatures in a jar and just let them fight to the death. The last one standing was believed to have absorbed the poison of all the others, becoming the ultimate poison. Genren said the Inugami ritual works on the exact same principle. It's not about creating a ghost, you see. It's about distilling an essence. And in this case, the essence is pure, spiritual poison. He called this spiritual poison an extremely dense form of yin energy. But don't think of yin in its normal, balanced state. No. In this context, it's a weaponized concentration of negative emotion, pure, raw, unadulterated hatred, and that deep-seated grudge on end. So here's the theory. This concentrated ball of yin energy, it acts like a spiritual virus. When you aim it at someone, it doesn't bite their soul, it infects their body. It attacks their personal life force, their ki, and just throws their whole internal system into complete chaos. And the result? Physical sickness and mental collapse. So let's just stop and think about that for a second. In the 17th century, this scholar was laying out a theory of possession that was based on energy transfer and internal imbalance. The Inugami wasn't some monster. It was a projectile, a weapon literally forged from suffering, designed to corrupt a person's life force from the inside out. And this logical, almost scientific breakdown of the curse, it leads us to a final and honestly a deeply unsettling conclusion about where the real horror in this legend actually comes from. According to Genren's whole theory, that terrifying creature from folklore, the vengeful dog spirit from the underworld, well, it doesn't actually exist. It's something that is crafted, something engineered, something built by human hands for a human purpose. It's nothing more than a tool, forged through an act of supreme malice. And that's really the heart of it. Shinren saw magic as just manipulating natural forces and energies. So the Inugami wasn't some demon breaking the rules of our world. It was a human being who understood those rules well enough to twist them, to take the life and suffering of another living thing and turn it into a weapon. The monster isn't the dog spirit. The real monster is the person willing to do that ritual. And that really leaves us with one final thought, doesn't it? In this whole horrific story, from the ancient legend to the chilling analysis, you just have to ask yourself, which one is the more potent and terrifying poison? The spiritual weapon made of hatred, or the human heart dark enough to create it in the first place?